Good evening. Welcome to you all. Thank you for coming to the Monday, November 16th joint work session of the Falls Church City Council and School Board. We're delighted you're all here with us tonight. I think most of you are either elected officials or consultants, but if you're not, this meeting will, I think very shortly, become a closed session, and you'll, if you're a member of the public, be asked to leave. So just keep that in mind. But Mr. Castillo, do you have anything that you want to add before we start?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Shields, did you have some brief remarks you wanted to make before we get started?
Thank you, Mayor Charter. And what I wanted to just provide an open session is for the public's benefit. What we do have on the city's webpage is information that has been marked non-confidential by the two proposers who've responded to the city's RFP that was issued last July. On October 30th, we received two proposals, and they've first underwent a technical review by legal counsel, really to have that discussion about with the city's thrust being to make as much available to the public as possible under the law. And that was really what a lot of the discussion was in the period upon receipt and prior to posting the two proposals. What we do have on the school website and on the city website, I'll just show real briefly up on the screen where these are located. And so on the home page, if you go to the government tab and then click down here to the right where we provide updates for projects and proposals, if you click on the campus redevelopment project, that will take you to this page. And on this page is information about the conceptual proposals that have been received from Edgemore, the proposal that was received from Mason Greens LLC. It also has background information, the RFP that the city issued in July, our Public-Private and Education Act guidelines, and we also have background information from the past year, including the roadmap that was produced by the Joint Steering Committee, some of our initial studies, the ULI report. And so this is sort of a one-stop shop for gathering information about this larger effort. I'd like to turn it over to Chuck Wall, and he will provide just a couple of introductory comments also about, I know there's a lot of interest in reading these proposals and getting public information out to the public, but why it is in terms of the integrity of the procurement process and protecting the city's negotiating interests, why under state law a lot of this is kept confidential during the evaluation period. And so I'll turn that over to Mr. Wall, and then we would ask for a motion to go into closed session. Okay, thank you. Fields was mentioning proposals have come in. He indicated the public portions of those. Each of those designated portions as confidential and proprietary. That is.
Sorry. I won't repeat what I said. That is consistent with the PPEA statute in terms of allowing portions to be withheld as confidential. The public portions are, again, posted on the website for anyone to review. The elements of the confidential pieces are really fall into three different buckets, one of which is financial information, financial records. The second is trade secrets. And the third is information that could be detrimental to the negotiation position of either the public body or the private entity. So we have evaluated those, and agreed with respect to elements of each proposal that are preserved as confidential. It is an open procurement. There's a lot of negotiation considerations to be taken into account. There is elements of it recognizing their financial packages and proposals. There are site designs and those other elements of the proposal that have been preserved as confidential. So all of that is consistent with both the PPEA statute and the Freedom of Information Act. And that is the rationale for the distinction, distinction between the public and the private and the confidential pieces.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else, Mr. Shields?
One other thing, if I could, just so the public is aware of our team that's helping us evaluate our proposals. Dr. Jones, would you like to introduce members of your team, and then I can do the same on the consultants that we've hired?
We have David Parmley with us tonight from Arcadis.
Hello.
And we have Joe Mason and David Rose with Davenport. That's the city's financial advisor, and it's been the city's financial advisor since 2008, and they've been helping us on this proposal. In terms of their commercial real estate advisory services, the firm of Savills Studley is here, David Lipson, and Tim Mazuka is here representing Saville. And so those are the key consultants that we've been working with in terms of our initial evaluation, and I wanted the public to be aware of that. And then one last thing to say, just in terms of public meetings that will be coming up, we do have our next joint session to discuss this process and these proposals on December 8th. And that meeting will be at 7 p.m. and that will be at the school board offices. And we have 2 town hall meetings currently scheduled, and we need to work through sort of the logistics of those and the content of those. But those are planned for Saturday, December 5th at 10 a.m. and Saturday, December 12th at 10 a.m. Both planned to be in council chambers, but we'll get more information out to the public about those. But the purpose of those is to talk about the process, discuss everything that we can about the process in public session, and answer questions about it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Snyder?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Before we go into a closed session, I do have a question for Mr. Wall and Carol. Is there any more information that could be made available to the public under the applicable law?
I would respond by saying we have made the determination that what is made public is fully consistent with the statute, and have recommended that other portions be withheld, the portions that have been marked confidential and are not posted.
So, in answer to my question, you've gone as far as you can go in terms of working with the proposers, in terms of making information available to the public, and all the information that's been made public is all that we can make under the law at this point.
That is correct on both counts in terms of the understanding with the proposal teams and the evaluation of the information.
Okay, anything else?
May I ask a question? Is the structure of this meeting sort of such time as we may consume in closed session? Is there a time certain we're going to try to end? Is there any point at which we come out and have anything to say about what we've discussed? I'm just wondering if anybody is following this, either in the room or on television. How are we letting them know when we're done?
Well, there's no time certain to end this meeting that I'm aware of to come public. So I think this is going to end when it needs to end, and we can discuss in the meeting, if that's permissible, what information we want to put forth based on our meeting tonight. But there is not a time that we're going to end and make any public proclamations.
Any questions from school board members? I guess I would just follow up on Mr. Duncan's question to Mr. Wall. What information might we conceivably disclose after this meeting that you can think of, if any?
In terms of information that has not yet been disclosed,
Correct.
uh,
Or
I-
regarding our proceedings tonight? My thought is it's not going to be much, if any.
yeah, I would not expect any.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else, or should we have, take a motion to go into closed session?
Mr. Mayor, I move we go into closed session. Do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
I'll go ahead and read it. Upon a motion made by Councilmember Snyder, seconded by Councilmember,
Connolly.
and passed by a voice vote of City Council, council went in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A-28 for the discussion or consideration of records excluded from the Freedom of Information Act, Freedom of Information's disclosure requirements pursuant to subdivision 11 of Section 2.2-3705.6, which describe, among other things, confidential documents provided pursuant to the PPEA, or the Public-Private Education Facilities and Infrastructure Act of 2002, specifically for the George Mason Mary Ellen Henderson Campus Project. Councilmember Baruch is absent. Councilmember Conley?
Yes.
Councilmember Duncan?
Yes.
Councilmember Oliver?
Yes.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yeah.
Councilmember Z?
Yes.
Councilmember Tartar? Yes. Okay. Do you have a motion as well?
Somebody like to move us into closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I move pursuant to the Virginia Code, Section 2.2-3711A28, for the discussion or consideration of records excluded from the Freedom of Information Act's disclosure requirements pursuant to subdivision 11 of Section 2.2-3705.6, which describes, among other things, confidential documents provided pursuant to the Public-Private Education Facilities and Infrastructure Act of 2002, specifically for the George Mason Mary Ellen Henderson Campus Project.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Ms. Goodell, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Ankuma. Mr. Castillo.
Aye.
Ms. Carney. Mr. Lawrence is not here. Mr. Sharp.
Yes.
And Ms. Ward. Yes.
Okay, so do we need a minute or two to get the microphones taken down? Okay, so we'll just take a moment or two to get the microphones off and go into closed session formally. Mr. Shields, how about the next item on the agenda? Are you ready to roll?
Good evening, Council. It's still evening. Two items. One is the legislative program, and one is an update on Inside I-66. The legislative program is in the same format as you all have experienced in past years. As you can see from the staff report and the attachments, we got a lot of good input from our boards and commissions, and we have also incorporated by reference VML, Northern Virginia Resource Center, Regional Commission, MVTA, MVTC, our regional partners, especially focusing on transportation. There is a new position added this year in response to the Attorney General's opinion on how we can administer the stop arm school bus camera, and that is supporting changing that so we can mail citations. There is a highlighted forfeiture of fines and fees because we've been working with the governor's office and administration to not put that back into the budget, which takes money from us and 32 other localities when it's our law enforcement doing the traffic safety citations. And then other public safety mandate, stormwater, and similar positions that council has seen previously. I'd be glad to answer any questions, and staff recommends it going to council next Monday for approval. And Senator Saslow has been invited to join you for the annual quick visit in the beginning of the meeting. And I don't have confirmation yet. He was working on a schedule adjustment, and Delegate Simon will be there.
Any questions, comments?
Two quick ones.
The local composite index, I'm wondering if we can address that somehow in here, of some kind. I think we've just seen numbers, we see them regularly where, and I think the community's interested in it, so its absence, its total absence from here is I don't think representative.
We could add that as a standalone or under the state funding and the implications related to that. There, as we've often talked about, there's pros and cons to, it's definitely inequitable, but sometimes opening it, you get unintended consequences. And so I would recommend maybe we consider referencing the impact and requesting a JLARC study so that it gets fully vetted versus a knee-jerk reaction, if that would be something that aligns with your thoughts, Councilman Snyder.
I mean, I'd like more, but I would like more, but I mean, we got to put the issue in play. I mean, there was a lengthy community forum, and I think Delegate Marcus Simon did indicate his interest in the issue. Thank you.
We can add that.
Sure.
I think that Delegate Simon may be proposing some legislation about gun shops near schools, and I don't know if that fits into this plan or is reflected in here in the dangerous weapons.
He is proposing that, and I've written the dangerous weapons in city facilities, which would include schools, kind of broadly. But at the time I put this together, he hadn't finished his draft. I did have his one for the college fund. I could add a reference to that so that we could support it as it progresses.
There was and first let me apologize for not providing it to you, but there was a piece with respect to rising sea levels, and there's actually an initiative in Virginia that other states have signed on to, so I need to refresh my memory on that. Let me get back to you on that shortly.
Okay.
Anything else? When is the day to lobby the state legislature?
The VML day will be January 27th.
Okay.
And Celeste did send out an email notification, and she'll register councils, members that wish to attend. I think she's heard from 4 expressing interest. So we can do the day registration, and then just would need to know who wanted to stay overnight. And then we'll notice it as a public gathering, and just need to coordinate travel so it doesn't look like a closed meeting if people carpool.
Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, is that it for this, or was there any other comments? All right, why don't we move on to the next item then?
Thank you for the feedback. I'll modify those and have it in your council packet for a vote on next Monday. The next item is a verbal update on where we are with inside I-66 framework agreement, and the process for that agreement being with the state and the Commonwealth, and how it impacts the City of Falls Church and our multimodal projects. Carol and I have continued to work with the Transportation Commission in our peer localities of Fairfax and Arlington, and have had numerous drafts going back and forth, and the state now has it in their to-do list to give us an edited document back. I hope to have something by next Monday. Don't have anything for tonight's meeting. I would say in general, progress is being made to address a lot of the issues that impact all of our region on bonding, trying to make it feasible to issue bonds, make it so that if we issue bonds or we're starting to do a progress, that the state just can't pull the money out. But we don't have that finalized yet. It also will be very general in terms of the framework and a lot of the issues that council identified as we adopted the resolution on October 19th, which you have a copy in front of you this evening, will not be addressed in this general framework agreement. It will be in a agreement that everybody has conceptually agreed to that will be between MVTC and the locality. So I think that's where we will really need to put the next level of heavy effort to have that address the concerns documented by council. So originally we had planned to do a briefing tonight on the draft framework agreement for council to provide direction to the voting city member on MVTC at your next meeting, have that discussion. Given where we are in the flux of things evolving, and that MVTC is scheduled to vote on this in the beginning of December, and re-looking at this resolution, I think the one that's already adopted is probably continues to state the conditions and what we expect within the two agreements. And there's nothing that I could offer to you that would change it to make it more definitive that you agree to the agreement, or another agreement with localities that's not even drafted. So Carol and I would welcome council's direction if you would like to have something on Monday that's different than the resolution that's already adopted. Vice Mayor Snyder will be on business travel at the MVTC meeting, so Ms. Oliver will be the alternate city member voting. So I guess I also would defer to you if this provides enough direction, and hopefully it'll solidify a little bit more prior. So that's a quick synopsis of what we've been doing for the last 2 weeks, and I would say progress is made, but we haven't gotten close to the finish line yet. Carol, anything to add?
No, I think the agreement that we're working on now, it remains pretty general. It remains at the level just between VDOT and MVTC, and many of the details are being left to go into this additional agreement that'll be between the jurisdictions.
And we do have a staff meeting set on that for November 30th is what I heard the date's going to be, and so that would even be after next Monday, so I won't have anything for council on, in terms of that second agreement.
Council may be meeting on November 30th.
Yep.
Okay. Any comments on this? Okay. Anything else to talk about tonight?
For this, we'll keep you posted, and we'll coordinate with you, Ms. Oliver, before that meeting.
Okay, is there any reason why we shouldn't adjourn?
Just a question, so looking at the schedule ahead, swearing in for the new classes, is that firmly set for December 14th?
That would be the date that Ms. Heath sent out to council, confirming any conflicts for council members and
Okay.
council-elect.
Are you available then? Are you available then?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to arrange family schedules, perhaps, and then January 4th, we would not meet again then until after the first of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else?
Move to adjourn.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. We're